Good afternoon, family, or whatever the case may be. Welcome to Mindful Reality, the channel that covers reality TV from a mental health perspective. It's your boy Mark. Now, I have a topic up here. It's been a while. Topic alert, topic alert. So, my topic is how open mic nights broke me out of my shell. So, there was this coffee shop. Happy Sunday, chocolate. There was this coffee shop by my old job. It was called Sip This. It was like a cool, small little coffee shop, and it was like the type of place that you go into. It's not like Starbucks. I feel like when you're in Starbucks, you are aware that you're in like a big franchise. I mean, you might even be going to a Starbucks where people kind of know you, whatever. But regardless, this is like a small, homely store. There was only one of them. Coffee shop. There was only one of them. The furniture was nice. The atmosphere, and it wasn't just like the barista is the only person who knew you. Like, I would speak to the owner all the time, the owner's daughter all the time, who was the manager of the franchise. I knew everyone who served in there. Like, I knew a bunch of the people within Siptis. Not saying I knew them well, but I knew them at all. How many of you can say that you go in to your average coffee shop and just know who's in there a lot because you see the same people in there all the time? I mean, maybe it's like that for some of you, but anyways, the point being, I remember this one evening I had come over there after work, and then I saw people in there with instruments, and I was like, what's happening in here? They said, oh, this is the open mic night. Hi, Cass. So I was like, oh, open mic night. This is pretty cool. So I sat in there. I watched the whole thing. There was people who played on their guitars. There was people who sang. There's people who did random stuff, magic tricks, whatever. They just got up there and did whatever they wanted to do. And I was like, at that point in time in my life, I never performed in an open mic in my life. So I think I was about, what I estimate this is? This is probably about 8 years ago. Yeah, almost 9 years ago at this point. Let's just round it off and say it was basically like a decade in the past, right? So I was like, man, at that point in time, I wasn't playing my saxophone really. I was a little bit in my house, but I wasn't performing my saxophone anymore publicly. That's the point that I'm getting at here. But I said, man, it would be really cool if I could play my saxophone at this open mic. But it had been so many years since I performed in public that I was so, and it was not an open mic setting, so I wasn't comfortable with that. So I found out what days they did the open mic, and I sat in there refreshing just in case it cut off, because it shows me zero viewers, and it showed me like 25, 30 seconds before that. Anyways, as I was saying, I got up me, but I was sitting in the back, building up the courage to try to get up here and perform a song. And I said, I can relate. I said, I'm sorry for the person who said that they're having a hard time right now because of their grandmother suffering with struggling through Alzheimer's. Because I said, I experienced that in 2009 with my grandfather. He actually passed of that. So I said, this song, Can't Help Falling in Love with You, that I'm about to play, is a song that my grandfather loved to sing, and he sang it to my grandmother at at their 50th anniversary. And I told the story of how the Alzheimer's was so bad. At that point in time, he had a hard time standing up, and he had a hard time remembering all the lyrics. So I talked about how I learned about how this became a repressed memory for me, because I stopped really playing my saxophone sometime after that point, yada yada. And then I played the song, and then after I finished playing the song, people came up and talked to me, like a lot of people. And it wasn't just because of my playing, it was because of the story, and how the story fosters a connection. Like when you just get up in front of an audience and just play a song, they're going to tell you that's a nice song. I mean, they might even tell you some things more than that, but I guess the point of what I'm trying to make is it fosters more of a connection. Like when you go to a concert, they don't just play or sing right through. Like they give like a little story. This is when I wrote this song, this is what was going on when I wrote this song in my life, and this is what I was thinking, and this is the process. So it was something that I learned something that day, and it actually relieved some anxiety, because I still get a lot of anxiety having to do anything like that, stand in front of people and sing or talk or play an instrument or whatever. I still get plenty of anxiety doing that. But when I can get up there, connect with an audience, or if I say something funny or I try to say something funny, I look out and I see somebody smiled at it, it's like, okay, there's somebody out there paying attention to what I'm saying that thinks that what I just said was funny. Or even I might even get up there and be like, hey, this is a huge crowd that I'm playing in front of. I'm a little bit nervous. Okay, so I'm a little bit nervous, and saying that removes the elephant in the room for me, because if it's just something that I'm thinking about in my own head, then it's something that I'm feeling, but nobody else is feeling. So I guess through repetition, and by repetition in this case, I just mean like multiple different performances, like I went and performed I started to perform in that coffee shop regularly, maybe like 2 to 4 times a month, at least one a week. I think they offered like 4 times a month, 2 times on Wednesdays, 2 times on Fridays. So like 4 times a month. And I, at one point, was probably going every single month, every single week, to the point where the guy who owned the shop and who hosted the open mic night, when I used to get up there, I'd get up there for like 3 to 5 minutes to do 1 or 2 songs. Then he started asking me to do like 15 to 20 minute sets. And I was like, don't other people have to go? And he would tell me like, listen, Mark, I give everybody the opportunity to go, but we have been here a while. We've been doing this a while. We generally know who's good and who's bad. So when somebody has talent like you, we kind of just let them go up there and take as much time as they want. He was like, there's no amount of time where we would really shoo you off, unless you were just trying to do a whole concert or something. So a lot of things like that have worked that way in my life, where essentially I feel very scared or nervous to do it, and then I do it a whole bunch of times, and then each time I do it, it's called in therapy, it's called desensitization. It's something that I learned also when I was going through the worst parts of my agoraphobia. Agoraphobia, simply put in like non-technical terms, is that you start to develop this irrational fear of being outside of your safe space, which is, for most people who experience agoraphobia, if it gets severe enough, it's like a fear of leaving your home. So when I was in my worst parts of that, I had to go through a process of desensitization, which was to go out, which was to go outside first a little bit and then a little bit more, and just challenging negative thoughts and beliefs until you get back to this point of homeostasis, which is just like where your mind just, it basically like your brain resets to its factory settings. I mean, you can look up the word, but I did not study this in school. This is just stuff that I got from my actual experiences. So that's the story of how open mic assisted me. It helped me with my anxiety. It helped me figure out a routine. Now when you see me in front of people, you wouldn't even be able to tell that I'm experiencing the anxiety unless you really know me really, really well, and I've told you, I've given you details about what that looks like. But the average person, 98% of the people are not even going to know that I experience any fear before I get up there and do my thing. And it's also now one of my favorite things to do, although I miss that open mic so much because that particular coffee shop closed down during the pandemic and it never opened back up. So I have not done open mic in a long, long time, but I have performed, a few times in the last few years. I perform a few times a year. So that's the end of my story. I hope y'all enjoy your Sundays. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Thank you. Have an amazing day.